When installing inverted pendant light fixtures that are supplied with a cord from the manufacturer, it's crucial to follow best practices and adhere to electrical codes. A common issue arises when electricians run the cord directly through the ceiling and terminate it inside a junction box using a Romex connector. This method frequently results in correction notices because it often violates electrical codes. Let's delve into the reasons why this practice is problematic and explore the correct way to handle these installations. Firstly, simply running a cord through a hole in the ceiling violates multiple sections of the National Electrical Code (NEC). Cords are not designed to be permanently installed within walls or ceilings because they lack the required protection against physical damage and environmental factors. Secondly, Romex connectors are designed for use with non-metallic sheet cable, not flexible cords. Using them on cords creates an improper connection and increases the risk of the cord being damaged or pulled out of the connector. This could lead to loose connections, arcing, and potentially fire hazards. Thirdly, many jurisdictions strictly enforce the NEC, and the method of running the cord directly into the ceiling does not meet those standards. Even if some jurisdictions appear to allow it, it's essential to verify the local codes and obtain approval from the authority having jurisdiction, OJ, before proceeding with such an installation. The correct installation method involves using a junction box that is accessible and properly sized to accommodate the cord and its connections. The manufacturer's instructions often specify the proper way to install the fixture, including the use of a junction box. The junction box should be mounted securely above the ceiling, and the cord should be connected to the power supply wires inside the box using appropriate connectors. The junction box cover should be sized appropriately, such as a 3.0-inch cover, to provide adequate protection and access to the connections. The cord should never penetrate the ceiling itself. Instead, the junction box should be positioned above the ceiling, with the cord entering the box through a proper strain relief connector. Strain relief connectors are designed to grip the cord securely and prevent it from being pulled or damaged. This ensures that the electrical connections remain intact and safe. When selecting a junction box, consider the number and size of conductors that will be connected inside the box. The box must be large enough to provide adequate space for the conductors and their connections, as specified in the NEC. Using a box that is too small can lead to overcrowding, which can cause overheating and other problems. It is also crucial to use the correct type of wire connectors for the application. Wire connectors should be rated for the voltage and amperage of the circuit and should be suitable for use with the type of conductors being connected. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when installing wire connectors. Furthermore, it's vital to ensure that all electrical connections are made properly and are securely tightened. Loose connections can cause arcing, which can generate heat and potentially start a fire. Use a torque screwdriver to tighten the connections to the specified torque value. If the torque value is not specified, use a torque value that is appropriate for the size and type of connector being used. In addition to following the manufacturer's instructions and adhering to the NEC, it's essential to consider the overall safety of the installation. Ensure that the circuit is properly grounded and that all exposed metal parts are bonded to ground. This will help to protect against electric shock hazards. Also, be sure to turn off the power to the circuit before working on any electrical connections. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires or terminals. It's always a good idea to consult with a qualified electrician if you are unsure about any aspect of the installation. A qualified electrician can ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and standards and that it is safe and reliable. When working with electrical systems, safety should always be the top priority. Always follow safe work practices and use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. Avoid working in wet or damp conditions and never touch any electrical wires or terminals with wet hands. Remember, electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving, so it's essential to stay up to date on the latest requirements. Consult the NEC and local codes for the most current information. Also, attend continuing education courses and seminars to keep your knowledge and skill sharp. In summary, When installing inverted pendant light fixtures with cords, avoid running the cord directly through the ceiling. Use a properly sized and accessible junction box, connect the cord with appropriate connectors, and ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and standards. Always prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. By following these guidelines, you can ensure a safe and compliant installation that will provide years of reliable service. Finally, consider the specific requirements of the lighting fixture itself. Some fixtures may have unique installation requirements or limitations that must be taken into account. Consult the manufacturer's instructions for detailed information about the fixture's installation. The instructions will often provide specific guidance on the type of wiring methods and connectors that should be used. It is essential to follow these instructions carefully to ensure that the fixture is installed correctly and safely. Ignoring the manufacturer's instructions can void the warranty and potentially create a safety hazard. Additionally, be aware of any specific requirements related to the cord itself. Some cords may have limitations on their length or the types of connectors that can be used with them. Always follow the manufacturer's recommendations for cord usage. Using a cord that is not suitable for the application can lead to premature failure and potential safety hazards. In some cases, it may be necessary to use a different type of cord or wiring method to meet the specific requirements of the installation. For example, if the cord is too short, it may be necessary to extend it using a junction box and appropriate wiring methods. Or, if the cord is not rated for the environmental conditions in which it will be used, it may be necessary to replace it with a cord that is suitable for those conditions. When extending or replacing a cord, it is essential to use wiring methods and connectors that are compatible with the original cord and that meet all applicable codes and standards. Also, be sure to properly ground the extended or replaced cord to protect against electric shock hazards. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician if you are unsure about any aspect of the installation. A qualified electrician can ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and standards and that it is safe and reliable. In addition to the technical aspects of the installation, it is also important to consider the aesthetic aspects. The junction box and wiring should be concealed as much as possible to create a clean and professional look. This can be achieved by using recessed junction boxes, concealing the wiring behind walls or ceilings, or using decorative covers to hide the junction box. However, it is important to ensure that the junction box remains accessible for future maintenance or repairs. Do not completely cover the junction box with drywall or other materials that would make it difficult to access. Instead, use a removable cover or access panel that allows easy access to the junction box. When concealing wiring, be sure to use appropriate wiring methods that are designed for concealment. For example, you can use non-metallic sheath cable, NMC, or electrical metallic tubing to run the wiring behind walls or ceilings. However, do not use flexible cords for this purpose, as they are not designed for permanent installation and can be easily damaged. Finally, remember to inspect the completed installation to ensure that it meets all applicable codes and standards and that it is safe and reliable. Check for any loose connections, damaged wiring, or other potential hazards. If you find any problems, correct them immediately. It is also a good idea to test the circuit to ensure that it is working properly. Use a voltage tester to verify that the voltage is correct and that the circuit is properly grounded. By following these guidelines, you can ensure that your inverted pendant light fixture installation is safe, compliant, and aesthetically pleasing. Always prioritize safety and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Remember that electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving, so it is essential to stay up to date on the latest requirements. Consult the NEC and local codes for the most current information and attend continuing education courses and seminars to keep your knowledge and skills sharp. By staying informed and following best practices, you can ensure that your electrical installations are safe and reliable for years to come. The information provided is for educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician before performing any electrical work.